Hey Mike, great to have you here. Thanks for calling in. And Brad, 2 days away from the big one for him.
Yeah, it's a huge fight for Brad, and it hasn't been easy circumstances for him as he comes into this fight. Obviously, back in New Zealand, we've got the lockdown situation, which does make it difficult to train. Obviously we work around that in terms of bubbles and individualised training programs. But coming up to the most important and significant fight at this stage of his career, it hasn't been an easy one, but Brad, being the man who Brad is, has really left no stones unturned in how he's gone about preparing for it. So, where there's a will, there's a way, and with Brad Riddell, there's always plenty of will.
Fiziev, is he going to be the hardest striker that Brad's been up against in the UFC?
Well, you've got two world-class strikers with, hundreds of fights between them. And for me, that's pretty huge. They also know each other well. They're friendly. They've worked out at Tiger Muay Thai. They've sparred on numerous occasions. So that makes it in itself an intriguing fight. It's been a little while since they've worked together. So the question is, where's the bar, and how far has one or other of them moved ahead? But the other side of that coin is that when you've worked out a lot together, you know what the other person does. So some of that warming up phase that you might often see fighters go through, sometimes that doesn't occur with guys who know each other really well. And we've seen it in rematches as well. With Ali Frazier, for example, you basically go from the end of round 15 into round 1, and there's almost no difference. And so there's a possibility of that occurring as well. But look, they're both world class. Got similar styles in the sense that they're both quick-handed, they're dexterous with their feet. They've got good eyes. And they've got knockout power on either hand. So look, it's a really fascinating fight, and one for the striking purists, really.
I know you're part of the Brain Trust. I was talking to Eugene a week ago, and he said this is one of the hardest opponents that he's had to try and work out. Did you find out that because you were in that realm as well?
Yeah, look, there's things that he does that are unique and that make him a special fighter in his own right. By the same token, there's things that he does that makes him vulnerable. And none of us are perfect, but as you look at fights, you go, what are your habits? What do you do? How can we exploit that? What are our habits? How do we exploit that so we maximise our strengths and minimise any opportunities for attack? So look, he's a tricky fighter, and one of the big parts of that is in other fights we have a sustained striking advantage. Even Drew Dober, who is a striker in his own right, if you look at the numbers, although Brad got clipped early, he had a sustained striking advantage, and as the fight wore on, you could see that come to fruition. Whereas here, this is a much closer fight. You remember when you watched two wrestlers work with each other, and often it ends up being a stand-up battle? Well, have a look at this one in reverse. Both of these guys are actually known as stand-up fighters, but they've both got very good wrestling. So, if they start to cancel each other out in the stand-up, don't be surprised if you see them go downstairs and do a bit of work there. So, for me, this is an intriguing fight to see which way it goes.
Can you see it going the distance?
Yeah, I can actually. Yeah, let's be fair. All the Brad's fights so far have gone the distance. Which is ironic because he's quite capable of separating people from their senses, and both of them are pretty good defensively. But one thing for sure is I think there will be fireworks, and you're going to see some fast-handed exchanges here. Who detects the traps? Who sets the best traps? That's where this is going to come down to, because like I said, two world-class strikers. And in my opinion, and I'm going to include Conor McGregor in this, and Poirier and Gaethje, I think Brad Riddell and Fiziev are better strikers than those guys, just in terms of sheer striking credentials and capability. The other guys are good, I just think these guys are better.